Bill, are we about ready? Or give it a couple minutes?
Eddie's there?
Yes.
Okay, I guess maybe let's wait a couple more minutes since it's still, if Eddie can wait a couple more minutes since it's
Yeah, all right.
1:12 right now. I just want to give a few more minutes that everyone get connected.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, it's now 1:15, so we'll get started with hitting coach Eddie Smith.
He had to go change the schedule real quick on the boards in here, so he'll be back in like 1 minute.
As soon as Eddie's back, we'll get started. And if you guys just want to indicate that you have a question in the chat, and we'll just follow the order of the chat for the questions. So first up, when Eddie gets settled, first up will be Wilson Alexander. All right. Hitting coach Eddie Smith is now ready for your questions. So we'll start first with Wilson.
Hey, Eddie, good to see you. It's Wilson from The Advocate. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks, Wilson. Good to see you.
All these home runs that y'all are hitting, now 15 through the first 7 games, SEC, lead in that category. Is that coming from the aggressive mindset that you and Paul wanted to instill in these hitters, or is it something else that's creating all this power?
Yeah, I think the guys are doing a good job of, staying on the attack at the plate. I think that's been a point of emphasis from day one. I think the last 5 games, you've seen some guys really take that on in the game, and hope to keep that rolling.
Hey, Coach, how have you seen Cade Doughty step up recently, especially compared to what he was doing last year? And he just seems to finally be coming into his own this season.
He really does. And I think when you go back and look at what Cade Doughty did last year, he hit a really loud 268 or whatever it was. A lot of barrels. And, this year, I think he has been on the barrel a lot, and they've started to fall. And he really is coming on as a player. It's exciting to see that.
Hey, Coach. This is Glenn West with LSU Country. Hope you're doing well. Paul talked to us, I think after the second or third game, about a conversation that he had with you, and then you had with the hitters about just being more aggressive at the plate. I was wondering just what the genesis of that conversation was you had with the hitters, and just kind of how do you think they've obviously taken it to heart, these last 4 or 5 games for you guys.
I think we simplified some things. I think that, we've just taken on maybe more of what I like to call an animal instinct. You're on the attack. When you see, a great white shark on the Discovery Channel going to get its dinner, it's not sitting there and thinking about, well, hey, is that seal going to be swimming right or left? It's just going to get the seal. It's staying on the attack. And, it's an image and a graphic that we like to use with our players all the time. Hey, when the tiger's in the jungle hunting, it's not calculating anything. It's going for the attack. And, I think that's been the gist of things, is just really trying to create an attacking mindset, impose our will, and, try to hit the ball as hard as you possibly can.
Back to me, Eddie. Paul said that you've been in his ear a little bit about Gavin, and just throughout the preseason, even when Gavin kind of got a slow couple games to start the year, that it's going to come for him. What creates for you that confidence? Why did you believe in Gavin so much and what he was capable of doing this year?
Well, I think that what I see from Gavin is he hits balls as hard as anybody we have, as often as anybody we have. And, I think when you look at what he did in a really shortened season last year, that started to show, as the sample size got a little bit bigger, and I think that when you look at what he did all fall and what he did all spring for us in preseason scrimmages, he just hits balls harder than anybody else. And I think that, baseball is a tough balance. It's a balance of, you got to win right now. You got to go get it done right now. But it's also a game that it comes down to the law of averages. And I'm a big blackjack player. And, I think that when you have a guy who's hit balls as hard as he hits balls, as often as he hits balls, it's something that, if the dealer deals you a 10, you might lose a few hands, but hey, keep dealing me that 10, dealer, and that's what I've seen out of Gavin Dugas. He just hits a lot of balls really hard.
Hey, Eddie, hope you're doing good today. I know you talked about how the bats already had a turning point, but it seemed like specifically in the bottom of the sixth, so the fifth against LA Tech is when it really started to come alive. What do you think changed from that moment that the Grand Slam came, and ever since then they've been really consistent as far as getting hits and runs?
Yeah, Jared, I think hitting is contagious, man. It's such a, you see it done, and then all of a sudden you start believing. And, I really go back to the leadoff hitter in that inning, Cade Beloso, had a really good at bat, line drive single up the middle, and we pieced together a lot of at bats from that point forward. And I really think it's a contagious thing. And it's so much about belief. It's so much about confidence that when that starts coming, some special things can happen. And, our guys did a really good job of just continuing to attack and continuing to work to impose their will throughout the week after that inning.
Eddie, I apologize if you've already answered this, but I am assuming that you haven't changed your mental philosophy or philosophy in general on hitting from last year to this year. So why is it working now versus last year? Are the kids picking it up better? Are they seeing things different? Is it competition? Why is it working to a T now?
Well, I think that, you're exactly right, Matt. When it comes to the philosophy, that hasn't changed. I think one thing that, specifically this last week, we've just done a really good job of ignoring the noise and staying so focused on attacking, on having a mindset of going to get it, not wanting the game to come to us, but we got to go get it. And then I think the second piece of that answer, it's real, it comes down to guys that are in our lineup. They just look a little bit different. I think you can credit Nolan Cain a lot with that. If you understand, the college recruiting cycle with, the Power 5 schools, the top of the top schools, players start committing in their freshman year, and the best of the best players are committing as freshmen. And if you look at the timeline of that, I think Nolan Cain and this freshman class, both on the mound and at the plate, it's really kind of the first class where he really got to go and recruit the freshmen in high school, which is when the best of the best are playing. And you're just seeing guys in that class that their bodies just work a little different.
Because too, I think in that Nichols game, it was Jordan's home run where I think the guy started him off with 2 straight fastballs at like 89 right over the heart of the plate. And I think last year guys would have been overthinking that, waiting for a breaking ball or something else. And the guy threw it again and Jordan hits it out of the ballpark. I mean, are you simplifying at bats for these guys? Or like you said, is it just the kind of kids that are coming in here now?
I think it's a combination of both. I really do. I mean, one of my favorite sayings as a hitting coach is stop thinking, start hitting, and that is, hey, when you're in that batter's box, we're going to do a lot of preparation in the off season and even a little bit pregame and that sort of thing. But when you're in that batter's box, you got to shut off the mind and let your instincts take over. And, that has been a big influence or a big point of focus here the last week of that attacking mindset. And, it always works better when the players have the athleticism and ability that the players have for us.
Hey, Coach, I was also just wondering, obviously, you mentioned a little bit about that freshman class, but also, part of that class is Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan. And just what have you seen from them in their early approach and their just, it just seems like it's come so natural to them, in the early going here. Just how good can they be as hitters, over the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's exciting. There's no doubt. I will never forget the first day this fall that we worked out. I went home that night and I had a little bit of hop in my step that whole night. I was pretty excited about these guys. And, as coaches, obviously you get excited in the off season about talent, potential, and those sort of things. You mentioned Dylan and Trey. Both of those guys are elite. There's no question about that when it comes to talent and potential. But really, it's when the lights come on that you have your true answer to what these players are like. And so far the lights coming on, they've only gotten better, and that's what the great players do. And hoping that continues from them is that they continue to shine. And with their talent and the way that they carry themselves with the confidence, they carry themselves with the mindset of going on the attack and wanting to earn it every single day in their preparation. And can't say enough about the maturity of both of those guys.
Hey, Coach, has anybody surprised you this season? And also talk about what Trey Morgan brings to the table, because obviously he's not hitting bombs, but he is on base almost every at bat. Just talk about that.
Chessa, surprises. I wouldn't say there's been anything that's been too shocking. Once the games have come, it's been what we'd hoped for with the players. I think that the maybe surprises have been, hey, when they showed up in the fall, we knew they were pretty good. We knew that they were pretty good players and had a chance to be special. But I think there was maybe even another level of play that they showed when they showed up in the fall. When we're talking about these freshmen, from Dylan to Trey, Brody Drost, and I'm going to also throw Will Safford and Jordan Thompson in that group. All of them very, very strong freshmen. And when it comes to Trey, I'll tell you, he's just a really fun player to be around every single day. He brings a great enthusiasm, a great balance of poise, but energy at the same time. I love the way he goes to the plate every single time and just competes. It's him against the pitcher, and he wants to find a way to win. And obviously in this sport, you're not going to find a way to win every time. If you find a way to win almost half the time, whether that's a hit or getting on base some other way, then you're a Hall of Famer. And so, the way he goes about it, it's really, really unique, and just love being around him. There's no doubt. Glad he's in our uniform.
Eddie, as well as y'all are hitting right now, is there anything that you want to see improved kind of going in over the next few weeks into SEC play? And if so, how do you kind of go about doing that?
Well, baseball is just a game of consistency. And, the question that remains is, hey, how consistent can we be? Can we bring this energy every single day? the wind's going to be blowing in this week. Last week it was blowing out. That has a big factor in the game of baseball, probably a bigger factor than we make it out to be. Hey, can we continue to stay attacking? Can we continue to stay confident? And can we find ways to win in all conditions? We got to find, a different way to win a little bit this week, most likely just because of the environment that we're going to be playing in. And great teams do that. And we got to go out and find a way to do that here this week.
Eddie, I know you had just mentioned about, turning the brain off and blocking out the noise and stuff. Did you hear all the stuff about what people were saying about the LSU hitters last year? And if you did it motivate you individually, specifically for this season, especially with all the talent that you have?
I don't know what was said. I'm a sports fan. I know how sports fans are. It's something where, I make it a point not to listen to the noise, because what I could control, it's my interactions with the players every single day. But I will say that I sat, in my house, in this room I have that has a cool view out the window, and every morning sat there and just sort of dwelled a little bit upon where we were as an offense last year throughout the entire quarantine. And no, it didn't sit well with me at all. There's no doubt about that. And so, there's motivation. I think there's always motivation. And I think more than anything, we just got to keep going forward with the same energy and attacking mindset, and go take what's ours here as we go forward.
Okay. We'll go ahead and wrap up. If we're all good with Eddie, we'll go ahead and allow him to head to practice. Thank you very much, Eddie.
Thank you, guys.
Next up will be Drew Bianco. All right, Drew is in position. So we'll go ahead again. If you just indicate that you have a question in the chat, and we'll follow the chat order for questions for Drew. And we'll start with Wilson.
Hey, Drew, Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well.
Good to see you.
If you could, what was it like for you on just the other day, being able to go up there and hit 2 home runs in one game, especially considering that, at a time last summer, it seemed like you might not be back here. What was it like for you emotionally being able to do that?
It felt really good. Just to, have a successful day at the plate, and then also help the team win. Especially getting some redemption after Nichols kind of embarrassed us last year or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't say I was too emotional about like not being back here or whatever. Because once I decided to come back here, like all thoughts and all that just kind of went out the window, and I was just focused on this team and having a good year and trying to reach Omaha and everything.
Drew, Eddie was talking about his approach that he gives to you guys, obviously, every single day when he's working with you. Can you just take us through what an LSU hitter is thinking now when they get in the box, and what he's brought to you guys this year, if at all different from last season?
Yeah. Eddie's done a great job with us this year. And to be honest, I think, you can definitely look at the numbers when the flip kind of switched after that loss from Air Force. And some of us were down, and we hadn't, I don't think we hit bad, but we weren't hitting what we thought we could hit. And then I think Eddie and Coach Maineiri did a great job after that loss. They weren't really down. They came out BP, and you expect coaches to be in, not the best mood after losing a game like that, but they were in a great mood, and they just encouraged us. They're like, hey, let's go out there and just let it rip. And with less than 2 strikes, I want to see y'all swinging hard and aggressive, getting the barrel out, and stop with this passive stuff. And like he goes first round of BP, I want to see how many home runs you can hit. And ever since then, I think we've gone out with that mindset every at bat. Less than 2 strikes, get your swings off, and not just trying to hit home runs, but just drive baseballs in the gaps and gets hits and hit the ball hard. And that just leads to home runs. And then with 2 strikes, he's like, then we got to switch it to a different mindset of just battle. It's you versus the pitcher. And that he's big on that. And it's not, us versus Nichols. It's you versus that pitcher 60 feet, 6 inches away with 2 strikes. And are you going to beat him, or is he going to beat you? And you got to go up there and try to win that battle for your team. And I think with that mindset, we've been hitting a lot better, and you can see it.
Hey, Drew, this is Glenn West, LSU Country. Hope you're doing well, man. Just, kind of piggybacking off of that, last year at this time, it was, a bit of a struggle for you guys from an offensive standpoint. I'm just curious, obviously you have a bunch of new players and stuff, but what do you think's changed maybe from last year to this year, and just why you guys have come out like gangbusters this year and are really, slapping the ball over the field?
I think the biggest change is just our attitude, really. We do have new players, and so these freshmen are unbelievable. Dylan and Trey have been playing great, and that's definitely a key too. But I think just the mindset really is, less than 2 strikes. Let's drive the baseball and hit like how we've always hit, and then 2 strikes, then we can get into the, battle mode and all that. I think last year we kind of just, not that we look at the media and all that stuff, but when you're not hitting good, you're thinking about it. You're 0 for your last 6. It's just human nature that you're going to start thinking about things like that, and you start maybe being a little bit more hesitant. And then this year, after the Air Force loss, I think that really just said, hey, we're not going back into that mindset. We're good enough to be here. We're good enough to hit, and we can really hit. Especially preseason, all the news was on our pitching, which it should be. We probably have one of the best staffs in the country, especially with the bullpen and the starters, and not much about the question mark was the hitters. And I think maybe the first game jitters, and then second game, it's like, oh, maybe our hitters maybe we aren't that good. And then I think we just said, no, we are good enough, and we came out there confident. And that's what I think it is just confidence. Hitting is, you got to have the talent, but you wouldn't be here if we didn't have the talent. So we just got to go up there with confidence. And I feel like we have been doing that really well.
See, Jared, you're up next. Jared Joseph.
Oh. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Last year, piggybacking, going back for a second, you talked about y'all struggled against Nichols last season, but this season y'all came out the gate and really gave it to Terry, and they had to pull him early in the game. What really was the difference this year compared to last year, Thibodeau?
I think the difference was, we weren't swinging at his pitches. A pitcher like that, Terry, he's going to throw a lot of strikes, and he doesn't have the best stuff to really get you out. It's not 94 from the left side with a wipeout slider. It's more, he's just commanding the zone, and he's going to try to pitch you backwards and make you hit at his pace, and make you swing at bad pitches and get yourself out. I think that's what we did last year. We were just swinging at his pitches and getting ourselves out mostly. Not to take anything away from him. He shoved last year, but then this year I feel like we were hitting our pitches, and we were waiting for our pitches and not getting ourselves out. And I think that was the biggest difference, was us just staying with our plan, our mindset, and hitting the pitches that we want to hit, not falling for his pitches.
Hey, Drew, I know we've been talking about Eddie's approach with the hitters, but he said something that really stuck out just a minute ago, talking about how they've simplified some things, but saying he has an animal instinct now that he's working with you guys to stay on the attack. Just what have those conversations been like with him, specifically when he says that animal instinct?
Yeah, Eddie's a pretty calm guy, but sometimes we all lock it in, and once he kind of gets, you can see that look, and the way he starts talking is a little different. I can't say exactly what he says, but it definitely fires us up and gets us ready. And I think that's another thing. What was huge for us was just having him believe in us and saying like, hey, y'all good enough. I want you to attack and be aggressive, like go out there and like have fun. And and I think that's another big reason of the different success this year is just the attitude. Not only are we confident, but we're just having fun out there. You come out and watch practices or before games, we're all fired up. Beloso, his big thing is hop on the vibe train. We're just having fun, and winning's part of that. You're going to have a lot of fun when you're winning, but even when right after the Air Force game we lost, we still had the same, have fun, just go out there and compete. And I think that's just good teams, even when they're not winning, they're still having fun, and it's going to lead to get over the hump. And I think that's what we've been doing. And Eddie's done a great job with his attitude this year, just leading us in that good vibe moment.
Drew, also something that Paul and now both Eddie have mentioned that helped with all the home runs over the last few weeks is the weather. how much is there to be said about that? I mean, do you think that as a hitter that has helped, that it's been unseasonably warm, that the wind's been blowing out of the ballpark?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's something that I feel like isn't talked about enough is how weather can dictate a game. When it's freezing cold outside, 28 degrees, winds blowing in, there's probably not going to be a lot of offense that day. But it's been really hot here and the wind's been blowing out. I feel like that's one of the reasons why we've had success. I mean, I love every hitter's dream is to show up at the ballpark and it's 70 degrees and the wind's gushing out. But some days that's not going to happen. Next week, it's supposed to be blowing in. So that's when I don't really feel like we need to switch our mindset from what we're doing. But there probably won't be as many home runs that this weekend. But yeah, weather really dictates how an offense goes. But even when the wind's blowing in, we have some of the best pitchers in the country that I feel like, we can still win those low scoring games.
Hey, Drew, I'm sorry, I have just
Go ahead.
one more quick. You mentioned the weather conditions. How much does an approach, change when the wind's blowing in? I mean, do you guys focus more on going opposite field? Is it just line drives? I mean, just how do you kind of change up your approach a little bit to maybe not thinking home runs and power, but just contact and getting the ball out, to outfield somewhere?
Yeah. On days when the wind's blowing in, it's cold. I wouldn't say our whole mindset changes because you can't really do that as a hitter. It's definitely more of a low line drive ground ball, but you still want to hit the ball hard. I mean, I feel like that's our biggest approach is, yeah, we've hit a lot of home runs this year and that's great, but I don't think we all go up to the plate saying, oh, let's hit another home run. It's more like, hey, let's hit the middle of the baseball, hit it hard and see what happens. And we've lifted some balls in the air that have carried out. And I think we'll keep that same mindset. And then if it gets a little mid game, if we're hitting too many fly balls, Eddie and Coach Maineiri do a great job of like calling us up and saying, hey, maybe we need to start hitting maybe a little on top of the ball and just overthink that a little bit. And then we'll start hitting line drives and hard ground balls to the thing. But I wouldn't say it changes completely. There's definitely a little adjustment, but not a big adjustment.
Drew, I do think this is the first time that we've gotten to talk to you since last year. So if you could just take us through that process during the summer, what ended up, bringing you back to LSU after you were in the transfer portal for a little bit?
Yeah, definitely a weird summer. Not a summer that you ever want to have, but I mean, I'm glad it happened and it motivated me to do a lot of things. Entered the portal, was just looking for other options. Not necessarily like I was done with LSU, but I talked to Coach Maineiri and we thought it'd be best just to see what other options were out there for me. And then I think I was in it for like a month and just talking to my dad and my parents. And I told them like, I really don't want, even if I didn't play baseball, I wouldn't want to leave LSU just because of the culture and everything here. I just love going to school here, but I think I can make a difference and play. I'm good enough to play at LSU and I don't want to leave that. And I felt like that'd be quitting if I went somewhere else and just started something new. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come back and compete and try to win another spot here. And so I talked to Coach Maineiri and he said he would love to have me back. I just have to make some adjustments to my swings. And then I told him I played outfield all last year. I told him I was going to lose some weight and be able to play in the infield again, just to open up more positions for me, knowing that we were going to have a stacked outfield. And so just really, I think it was eye-opening going in the portal and doing all that just because it kind of motivated me to just go out and, get better in all phases of the game. And I think it really helped me out in the long run.
How much weight did you end up losing?
22 pounds. I was like 223 last year, and now I'm like 198 to 200.
What'd you do to lose all that weight?
I ran a lot, but it was more just not really eating so much. Stop the late night Sonic runs and stuff like that. And then I played a lot of basketball and just like working out with my brothers Corona break definitely had its downsides. Baseball shutting down, all of these tragic things happened, but also like gave you a lot of time to hang with your family, my brothers that I don't really get to see that much. And so growing up, having a big family like that, me and my brothers just working out together, hitting, running, and playing like pickup basketball games and stuff like that. So definitely it was great for that. And I think having that like those 3 or 4 months to really do nothing, I took advantage of that to, get better.
Drew, who has the best jump shot on this team?
Ooh, I really don't want to say me because that would make me look selfish, but I mean, me and Garrett Edwards go back and forth about this, and then AD loves tripping in and saying that Garrett could beat me one-on-one. But I guess I'll go with Garrett just to stay humble. But after the season's over, hopefully we bring home a national championship. I already told Garrett we need to go to the UREC and play one-on-one. But definitely we bring that discussion up a lot, basketball talk. But it's all fun and games, and hopefully we'll see after the season's over.
All right. Good deal. Thank you very much, Drew.
No problem.
And our final participant will be Coach Maineiri when he comes in. We'll get started.
You want me to go get him?
Yeah, just give him a heads up that Drew's finished.
Okay.
Thank you.
Coach is watching Zach Hess pitch in the big leagues right now, so give him like 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. While we're waiting, I can tell you that Garrett Edwards is LSU's scheduled starting pitcher for the game tomorrow night versus Nichols. And Nichols' starting pitcher is right-hander Chase Gearing. Chase Gearing is Nichols' starter, and Garrett Edwards will be the LSU starter for tomorrow night. Oh, correct. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm getting my freshmen mixed up. Our starting pitcher tomorrow night is Javen Coleman. Sorry about that. LSU starter versus Nichols tomorrow night is left-hander Javen Coleman. So Coleman for LSU and Gearing for Nichols.
All right, coach is here.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Paul, thank you for joining us. Let's see. We'll go ahead and start with Wilson.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing today?
Sorry to keep you all waiting. I was watching Zach Hess pitching in a major league game.
That must have been very exciting for you. For starters here, just Cade Doty, what have y'all found out about his shoulder injury, and is he going to miss much time?
I do not have an update other than to tell you that at a little after 12 today, they were doing a procedure to test it, what they call an arthrogram. So we'll know more this afternoon once the results of that come back. And let me make it clear to everybody, you know, that the description that I gave the other day about in a celebration probably was a little misleading. I'm going to describe to you what he did. He was sitting, Bianco hit the home run. He jumped out of his seat and went like this with his arms up in the air. And somebody that was standing behind him just bumped into him, into his back of his shoulder, just bumped into him. It was just like an innocent thing like that, but just kind of hit his shoulder in such an awkward way that it sent a pain through his left shoulder. And I don't know if you all know what a sublux dislocation is, where it pops out and then pops back in. And that's what happened to him. So it's, you know, it just really scared the kid and was very painful. And it was the most freakish thing. It wasn't like some exorbitant, you know how they do those bashes when guys hit home. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't anything extraordinary at all. All he was doing was raising his arms as his teammate hit a home run, and it just, somebody accidentally bumped into him. And you know, I know the kid was just in an awful lot of pain when it happened. And you know, our orthopedic surgeon came out from his home to check him out at the field that night and seemed cautiously optimistic that there was nothing serious there. So you know, today they scheduled this procedure just to check it out to make sure. And we'll have the results hopefully later today sometime. And hopefully it's just something that maybe just traumatized it a little bit and is nothing too serious. And you know, that's what we're keeping our fingers crossed for.
Okay, Chris Hagan.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Who's that talking?
Chris.
Oh,
from Fox 8 New Orleans. How you doing?
Oh, there
Coach?
you are. Okay, Chris. Okay.
I wanted to ask you about a guy like Trey Morgan. What can you say about the start to the year that he's had? You know, as a freshman, and I know the pitching gets tougher as the schedule goes on, but just to have this base and the success early, what does that do for a guy like him?
Chris, I don't know much more I can say about Trey than I've already said about him. I mean, everybody knows how much I think of this kid. He's been amazing. He's been amazing from the day he walked on campus. You know, I really had no idea that he was this good. He's just been a phenomenal all-around player for us. He's got tremendous attitude, work ethic, intelligence, gamer, and then his skills have been, just phenomenal. It's not often that you begin talking about a first baseman because of his defensive talent, but his defensive talent has probably already saved us at least a half a dozen errors, if not more. And when you look up at the scoreboard, whether you knock in the runs or whether you save the runs, the whole idea is run differential. You want to score more runs than the other team. So it helps you win games, whether you're saving runs or knocking them in. And oh, by the way, he's a pretty good hitter too. And he's batted either second or two-hole or three-hole for us in every game. And he hits righties, he hits lefties. He doesn't strike out very much. He handles the bat. He's done everything. And by the way, the pitching we have faced has not been very bad at all. I know they're not the name opponents that people are used to seeing on our schedule. We've had to gerrymander our schedule just to try to get games. But I can tell you the pitching that we have faced has been pretty good. Certainly the SEC is going to be a notch up, but it's not like, we're facing guys throwing underhanded out there. We have faced some quality pitching, and all of our guys have really risen up, and Trey has been one of them. His base hit the other day I think it was in the 7th or 8th inning when it was a 2-1 game and 2 outs, and he stepped up and got a big RBI single. He's hit a lot of ball. I think he's hitting 370 or something. He easily could be leading the team in hitting. He had an 0 for 6 game where he easily could have had 5 hits in the game. He hit 5 balls right on the screws and had nothing to show for it against Louisiana Tech. And I mean, five balls were hit as hard as he could hit them. So with a little bit of luck, he could be hitting almost 500. He's going to continue to get better because he has a great work ethic. He has a lot of pride, very coachable. He's got everything that you ask for in a player, and he's going to have a great career here at LSU.
Hey, Coach, we had Eddie on earlier, and he was just talking about the approach these hitters have now. And looking back at last year, are these hitters obviously a direct reflection of him? And what I mean is that last year seemed like a lot of pressing was going on, and I know the fans were upset with the expectations that Eddie came in here with. And is he more like stress-free now this year? And are you seeing that with these hitters? And how has he dealt with everything from last year to this year?
Matt, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, when a person is new, there's an adjustment period. But Eddie is an outstanding coach. He's proven that. He's no spring chicken. I mean, this guy has been around the game. Everybody thinks, oh, Coach Maineiri just hired him because he's a former player of his. I didn't hire him because he's a former player of mine. I hired him because he's an outstanding coach, and he's proven that at everywhere he's been. And I knew he'd come here and do a tremendous job. Last year, we had some guys that swung and missed a lot. We had some guys that were a little bit set in their ways. We had some days where the wind was blowing straight in and it was very cold. We had some days where the climatal conditions just defeated our ability to hit good. Not to take anything away from our opponents. When we didn't hit the ball very well over at Nicholls State last year, there was a very, very stiff wind blowing from the left field corner kind of towards the first base line, and we hit 2 or 3 balls. Bianco crushed a ball last year against the same pitcher that we faced the other day, but it just died about mid left field because of the wind. When we played Eastern Kentucky last year on a Friday night, there was no way you could hit a ball out of the ballpark. It was freezing. When we played it in the ballpark in Houston on Sunday against Oklahoma, the air was just dead. We hit 2 or 3 balls to the warning track where the ball just died. It was just a heavy air. So sometimes the climatal conditions play into it, and certainly the caliber of the player. We have some special freshmen this year that have come in and made a big difference. And not only do they have talent, but they've been very, very coachable. I talked just a minute ago about Trey Morgan. I could say the same thing about Dylan Cruz, and I could say the same thing about Brody Drost and Jordan Thompson. Not only are they talented players, but they're very coachable. And they're very poised for freshmen. They've been in this quote unquote the circuit, if you know what I mean, coming in. They have these showcases now and these travel squads, and these kids play against great competition before they ever come to college. So they've seen 92 to 95 miles an hour coming through those programs, and so when they get here, it's not so awe-inspiring for them. And, we're very fortunate these kids came to school. And so, I feel like, we've upgraded, the talent level across the board. I think Eddie's coaching them great. I think Eddie's very comfortable with what he's doing with them, and And the climatal conditions have been favorable. I think that's been a combination of a lot of things that have, I think the first weekend we were a little bit tentative. The first 2 days, I should say, against Air Force, we were a little bit tentative, thinking a little bit too much. And then after the second game, we kind of had a little bit of a stern discussion with them about going up there and becoming more aggressive and letting it rip. And I think a lot of guys took that to heart, and then we fell behind right away in the game, and we had no choice. The guys had no choice but to go up there and let's go. And I think when Javen Coleman settled that game down, it gave us a chance to come back. And I think one swing of the bat by Gavin Dugas kind of relaxed the team a little bit. And ever since then, we've just had a lot of confidence. Confidence is a very fragile thing in this sport, and hitting a baseball is a very difficult thing to do as well. So when your confidence wanes, it shows. And right now, I think the guys believe that they can hit, and all those other things combined have allowed us to show what we're capable of doing.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about Alex Brady. I mean, he's really had just the journey to LSU, not how he recruited out of LSU or out of high school, then going to JUCO, and he's really been able to increase his velo since being in high school. I think he was only throwing 75 miles per hour. Just what have you seen from him and how he's progressed as a pitcher? And do you want to see him pitch either tomorrow night or Wednesday?
Well, Alex Brady proves something that I have preached for a long time, and that is that the very best pitch in baseball is not a fastball, it's not a curveball, it's not a changeup, it's a strike. If you throw the ball over the plate, you have a chance. There's no defense against the base on balls. And Alex Brady throws the ball over the plate, and it gives him a chance. And there's something about those left-handers that even if they're throwing 85 miles an hour, there can be something very deceptive about them. When they're in the strike zone, I don't know if it's just a little bit of movement, they mix it with a changeup to just keep them, the hitters just slightly off timing a little bit, can make them very effective. He pitched really well over at UL the other day. I probably left him in a little bit too long. I think it, I'm really just learning about his ability. And so sometimes, you have to kind of, what's that saying about the envelope? You got to extend, let it go a little bit further to see what he's capable of. And I got to make sure that I utilize him correctly, but he can be a very effective piece out of our bullpen. And, when he was in junior college, he was his team's closer. So he's used to being in a pressure situation. And I think the kid is going to help us a lot. One of my most fond pitchers that I've had here at LSU was an undersized, not hard throwing left-hander by the name of Chris Cotton, who came to LSU as a walk-on and became our all-time leader in saves for a season. I think he saved 16 games in one of our great seasons here. And so again, those left-handers can get away with not having the highest velocity when they can change speeds and throw the ball over the plate. I'm not trying to put Alex Brady in Chris Cotton's category quite yet, but I think he can continue to help us. And we've got a lot of options down there, and I'm trying to get a lot of guys some mound time to get them ready as we go through the season. So I'm not sure exactly when he'll be back on the mound again, but I think he'll be ready to go for midweek here if we need him. If not, we'll use him on the weekend.
Paul, another one of those left-handers. Bill said you all will be starting Javen Coleman tomorrow. What do you hope to see from him in his first start?
Yeah, well, we're gonna, hopefully he'll pitch great, and we're gonna continue to try to extend him. I think, can't remember if he threw 4 or 5 innings in his last preseason start. We started him each of his preseason scrimmages. So really coming out of the bullpen against Louisiana Tech was the first time we had used him. Well, I guess we used him for an inning on the opening day, if I'm not mistaken. But when we brought him out of the bullpen against Louisiana Tech, that was really more out of desperation than it was by design. We were already down 5-1 in the game, and we needed somebody to spark us. And he did that for us. But our intention was always to utilize him as a midweek starter. And I see a great future for this kid. I think he's capable of being a weekend starter at LSU. potentially even a Friday night starter at LSU. So this will be a big start for him, his first start. It'll be a big, exciting game for him. I'm sure he's going to be pumped up, and we got to make sure we manage his emotions and make sure that he stays in the strike zone. I talked about how important it is to throw the ball over the plate, and he has a tendency sometimes to get so excited that he gets a little bit, outside of his himself, so to speak. He rushes to the plate and then he starts getting a little bit wild, and that's not who he needs to be. He needs to be a strike thrower, which he's very capable of being. And if he does that, his stuff is good enough to be able to dominate a team, and hopefully he'll do that tomorrow night.
And then if I could, we didn't get to see, or Matthew Beck didn't pitch over the weekend. Is everything okay with him right now?
Yeah, he's been a little bit sore, Wilson. When he threw against UL the other day, I had to take him out of the game. His arm got a little bit sore. We're cautiously optimistic with him as well. He's been getting better every day. At first, when we had to take him out of the game, we were very nervous about it. He only threw a few pitches, and we really were using him the same way we'd used him for 4 years. He'd throw an inning and then have a day off, and then throw an inning. And I think on the third batter he faced, he just felt some tightness and he didn't say anything, and then he tried to throw through it a little bit. He walked those 2 batters. His command got away from him, and then we took him out, and he told me that his elbow had tightened up a little bit. So it's been getting better every day, and he was getting checked out today by the doctor as well, and hopefully we'll get a good report from the doctor as well.
Coach, can you, I know everything's crazy, especially with midweek games and scheduling and moving and shaking and stuff, but this week with Southern, how important was it to just keep that city game and the importance of that, keeping that on the schedule this year?
Oh, well, we have Southern twice this year too, Matt. Carrick Jackson had become the coach at Southern, and Carrick and I shared a very special, good relationship, and we worked together very nicely. And I think Carrick was an outstanding coach over there and was doing a tremendous job. And then he took a job with Major League Baseball. I was kind of sad to see him go, to be honest with you. I think he and I were going to work together really well in Baton Rouge to keep promoting baseball. And, I had a lot of respect for him. I still have respect for him, but I just hated to see him leave Baton Rouge. But I don't know Chris Crenshaw quite as well as I got to know Carrick, of course, but Chris and I have communicated quite frequently. And Chris had some scheduling issues of his own. Their first series to Oklahoma was canceled because of weather, and I was trying to help him get something scheduled. And I had tried to get him to. I was going to let him use our field to play Notre Dame in a game to just get him something, because his field is not ready to be played upon. Their backstop blew down in the hurricane, I think. And so when Notre Dame was still going to be coming here, I was going to make our field available for him to play Notre Dame, but I couldn't involve him completely in our weekend because we already had 4 teams. And then Notre Dame ended up canceling, and he ended up getting a series over at UNO. So it ended up not transpiring that way. But then when he lost another game, we lost the game with Lamar. I asked him if he wanted to play a second game, which he was low on games. So we scheduled a game later on in the year. So, I would expect that we're going to have a great relationship and try to continue to promote college baseball in Baton Rouge together. And I know they played Louisiana Tech very tough this weekend. They didn't end up with any victories up there. Louisiana Tech, of course, opened up their new ballpark, and that was an exciting time up there. But I didn't look at the games that closely, but just reading the newspaper article this morning, recapping the games, it sounded like Chris thought they played fairly well, and it seemed like they swung the bats real well, and they had some opportunities that they didn't take advantage of. So I'm expecting a very tough game on Wednesday. But me, one game at a time. So all my attention right now is on the Nichols game for tomorrow night. We don't know who we're going to start quite yet, Matt, either against Southern. We'll have to get through tomorrow night first and see what we need to use, and then we'll announce a starter as soon as tomorrow's game is over. Bill, you're muted.
Anyone else for Coach Maineiri? All right, Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks for your patience, everybody. Did y'all see Alex Lang pitched yesterday in the big league game for the Tigers? Today Hess did. So got a lot of guys with Todd Peterson and Cole Henry are in major league camp. So is Kramer Robertson. Greg Dykman had an at bat yesterday. Trying to think who else. There's a slew of guys that are in big league camp. So
I think Goody
it's kind of
pitched.
hard to. Who did?
Goody.
Oh yeah, Nick Goody's back with the Yankees. I know he gave up a home run yesterday.
Yeah, wasn't.
Yeah, hopefully he'll stick though. Okay, good to see all of you. Thank you.